So I hope everyone on Zoom can hear me okay. We'll begin by doing a maybe 20-25 minute meditation. Quickly go over the posture, the 7-point Vairochana posture. So we're sitting on our cushion, maybe sitting towards the edge of the cushion so that our legs naturally fall below the hips and our back naturally straightens up. And our legs can be crossed or half lotus, full lotus, whatever is comfortable to sit in for 20-25 minutes. Hands resting gently in your lap or on your knees. And spine straight, as if there's a string running through your spine and pulling you up from the crown of your head, naturally straightening up your back, elongating your neck. Your neck naturally tilts downwards, about 45 degrees. And your shoulders and your back muscles naturally relax also. Our gaze is about 2 meters on the floor in front of us. And you can have your eyes just slightly cracked open to allow some light in. This helps with alertness in our meditation to avoid getting groggy or sleepy. But if it feels more comfortable, you can keep your eyes closed as well. Your elbows are a little bit away from the body to allow some air to flow through. Again, to help with alertness. And your tongue is touching the upper palate just behind that front row of teeth, which helps to prevent saliva from forming and having to swallow during the meditation. So take a moment to settle your body in this posture that is strong and stable, balanced, yet relaxed also. You can even put a little smile on your face to allow the tension held in the face to relax between the eyebrows, the jaw. Relax your body as you straighten up your back. And we set up a brief motivation for our practice and the session, especially since the session itself will be about motivation. We think about the reasons that brought us here today to this session. To have a meditation or some contemplation at the end of our busy day, to cultivate qualities of our mind that we want, that we know can bring us happiness, or just general mental peace. Maybe we happen to be here for no reason at all, just a coincidence. Whatever brought us here, as we sit here, we can contemplate that through this practice and through attending these sessions, through cultivating our own mental qualities, it not only benefits us, but it also benefits all beings that we come into contact with during the day, in our lifetime, even in future lives. So we generate the motivation to practice not just for ourselves and our own mental peace, but also anyone who may not have the ability or the chance in this life to practice. Those who may be suffering from a lot of mental ill or physical pain. We practice for their benefit as well. Because when we become Buddhas one day, we can manifest for all their benefit spontaneously, as and when we're needed. So, with this positive intention, we shift to our practice, which is mindfulness of the breath. So, you can watch your breath either at the abdomen as it rises and falls, or at the very tip of your nose and the sensations that your breath forms there. Pick one point and stick with it through the meditation. And as you rest your attention there, allow other thoughts, distractions, other mental activity to just fall away on their own. By the very nature of resting our attention single pointedly in one place. Imagine your mind is like a little child running away from you again and again, and you have to keep pulling her back again and again, very gently and compassionately. Treat your mind in this way, like a little child. Time your mind wanders, try not to clamp back down too hard on the breath. It's not going to go anywhere. Simply relax your attention back onto the breath. This is the practice of meditation and shamatha, is to keep catching our distracted mind again and again, to build that muscle. So do so lovingly and gently. we slowly return to the space around us, see if you can maintain that meditation space, that quality of attention and calm, that it's not just these two extremes of this is me in meditation and this is me in the world, so that there's almost a flow between those, a connection. And I hope people on Zoom can hear me okay. I know my laptop sound quality is not the best, but you don't even have the heart to buy a new laptop because this one laptop is like so much waste. You don't even have the heart to throw it out. If I throw this thing out, it's like huge, massive amount of waste and toxic waste, like lithium batteries and God knows what else is in this. So they should make biodegradable laptops now. So today's topic, we chose motivation, setting a motivation, not just in our meditation practice, which is how we may usually hear it, but also in just daily life. And there are a couple questions related to this. And it is a very, very foundational aspect of our spiritual path, is having a motivation. It's like they say it's like the ground in which, the soil in which you can plant other seeds. Um, if the soil itself is not fertile, then nothing is going to grow in that soil. It's just going to be hard and dry, and nothing's going to grow out of it. So a motivation is something that, I mean, we have all the time in anything that we do. Like if I go to the kitchen to cook something, it's because I'm hungry. That's my motivation to do that. If I go to sleep because I'm tired. I go for a walk with an intention that I'm going to the store. I leave the house, I take an auto, or I walk in a certain direction. Kabirji yesterday gave the examples of when you are traveling, and let's say I'm traveling to New York. I am going to buy a flight ticket that is taking me to New York. I have that intention that I need to go to New York. And so the steps that I then take are going to be to get me there. If I want to go to Bodh Gaya, I'm going to buy a train ticket or a flight or a bus that is going to take me in that direction. Every step I take will be taking me in that direction. I won't be, moving towards Amritsar if I want to go to Bodh Gaya, unless it's accidentally. But the intention is to get to Bodh Gaya. So one way or another, my actions will lead me there. So in that way, this motivation tension is in everything that we do, even in emotional ways and situations, day-to-day life. Sometimes we help somebody and we do it because somebody we admire, or somebody we have a romantic interest in, or our partner or parent or child is standing nearby and we want to um, make them feel happy and proud of us. We want that praise, and so that's why we did that action. So the action itself was good. Let's say we helped somebody drop something on the metro and we picked it up and gave it to them. The action itself is very good, but the intention was for praise. So when we have that intention, then it's almost like like you're holding a flower in your hand, but it's been plucked, so it's as good as like a dead flower. It's not going to grow anymore. It's just going to die over the course of the day and it's gone. So in this way, intention is really, really, really important, very important in just day-to-day life as well. And there are multiple kinds of intention. You can have a motivation when you practice. Let's say you sit for meditation and your motivation is just so that I can have some mental peace, so that I can quiet my mind a little bit. my monkey mind that just chatters all the time and doesn't stop. I want it to stop. I want a little bit of quiet. That can be your motivation, and that's perfectly great and fine. Many people in this world, we know, of course, don't even have that, don't even have the opportunity, the tools to uh, reach a point where they can, just even desire that, or even know that that is possible, to have a little bit of quietude, what that means. We just fill up every single minute with something or something else, or the TV or the radio or music or people, something. So we are so fortunate to have met the Dharma in this lifetime, and to be, aware that, okay, there is something like mental peace and quietude. And so that can definitely be our motivation, especially to start with. And then there are some other levels of motivation. There's the level after that is the motivation to really get lasting peace. How do I get, okay, I know that sitting here in meditation, or, attending these teachings can lead to some joy inside me and some mental calm. But what about something that lasts me, not just in this lifetime, but lifetimes beyond this? Something that can maybe permanently get me to be in that state, so I don't have to always be chasing after this thing. So that we call nirvana, freedom from samsara, freedom from the suffering. And that is a second level of motivation. I desire to be free of this suffering forever, for good. I'm done with it. I want out. And so when we have this motivation, then it strengthens our practice even more. We have even more of a desire. We see that we're in this hot pit of samsara. It's like we're in a fire, and we want to get out of it. We want to stop burning.
The same motivation is very difficult to continue the same motivation. And the same state of every day. That is like one day that motivation is so much. Second day
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Kind of
That's a good question.
sustain, continue that motivation.
Yeah, so somebody here asked, how do you continue that motivation? Because one day you wake up and you have one motivation, and another day you may have a completely different motivation, and another day you may have no motivation at all to even get out of bed. Yeah. So yeah, I will get to that. So let me first go through the different motivations. There's one last motivation, which in the Mahayana tradition is seen as the ultimate motivation, the ultimate intention, which is, not only do I want to be free of suffering, not only do I want to be free of samsara, but I want to be free of samsara so that I can help all other beings also be free of samsara, so that I can come back as a Buddha, as a Bodhisattva, and be able to help all beings, be able to manifest spontaneously to help a being here, there, over there, an animal in the hell realm, in the God realm. And this motivation takes us even beyond. So the first motivation is more in the Theravada tradition, which is more in East Asia, Thailand, Burma, for example. And that is to attain arhatship, to attain nirvana. In the Mahayana tradition, we are seeking nirvana, we are seeking enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. We see that there's no point in just me attaining enlightenment for myself, because I am here, I am practicing because of everybody's kindness, because of somebody comes to take out the trash every morning in Tushita. A Didi comes here to clean the gompa that we are sitting in, to cook food, to maintain the center. A bunch of people just restored the roof because we were having leakages. You can see in the walls, there's a lot of, peeling paint from the dampness. And some men just worked through the summer, through the heat of Delhi in June and July, and literally like redid the entire roof. And through the monsoon season, we had not a single problem. Otherwise, the walls would be, not this year, but maybe in a few years, the walls would be collapsing around us. So we are here in this gompa only because of like so many people, because of the kindness of the landlady who has given us, you know, the space for a very reasonable price, rent every month. Many people, of course, Kabirji, our main teacher, Renukaji, the director for a few decades now. So if it weren't for these people, we wouldn't be able to practice at all. So our enlightenment only is because of the kindness of so many people. Every meal we eat, every step we take on paved roads, every auto we take, the metro, that is our spiritual journey also. And so if I attain enlightenment then, and I, you know, leave everybody behind, that doesn't feel right. That doesn't feel, you know, I I if I've reached that point of enlightenment, I want everybody who's helped me to also get there. You know, why should I leave them behind? Um, and that is what the motivation of a bodhisattva, the bodhisattva intention motivation is that I want to attain liberation so that I can also free and help all these people, so I can keep coming back life after life after life to samsara, to then free my mother in this life, to free my father, to free my family, to free my mothers of all lives before and to come, to take everybody with me. And this is what we request the Buddhas in our puja or before practice. We request them, please continue coming back again and again to help us until every being is free of samsara. This is why we request them to, because the promise of a bodhisattva is to do this. And so it's sort of almost to remind them of their promise, to beseech them, please keep coming back, you know, for us. So this motivation, as I said earlier, it's like having that soil. If you don't, if you start something, let's say you sit to meditate, and you know you don't have any intention or practice or anything, you just have just found out meditation and you've started sitting and practicing. There may come a point after like 5 days where you're like, well, this is not really helping me. Like, what's the point of this? I'll just give up. Or let's say you come and start studying Buddhism, and you know after a while you feel like, you know, this is not worth my time, and you know I need to work my job and I need to raise my kids, and you know I just don't have time for this. We don't have that hold because we don't have the motivation to begin with to keep us there, to open our heart to this practice, to keep us going on the path. This is the motivation, is what keeps us on the spiritual path, what keeps us going. It is the fuel, it is the soil in which we plant those seeds. If we don't have that motivation, it's like trying to plant a seed on a hard concrete. You can't do it. You can't plant a seed in concrete. So this motivation is like this fertile soil, this wet soil that you can, you know, really plant the seeds of compassion, of stability, mental stability, of loving kindness, of gratitude. That's where you can plant the seeds. If you have the intention, okay, I've any level of intention. I am doing this because I want to be free of this pain. I want to be free of this pain so I can help others be free of this pain. I want to be free of this pain so that I can get through my day today. Anything. It can be anything. And later I'll go through some different, like, you know, motivations that you can, and you can cultivate your own motivation that you can start your day with, and start your meditations with. So yeah, because intention is there in everything we do, it's important to be aware of it and to change that intention to become positive slowly. Because if we have a negative intention, let's say, for example, our intention is negative for whatever reason, either on purpose or by accident. If my intention is negative, uh, let's say I have gotten angry at somebody, I've gotten into an argument with somebody, and they start reacting to me back. Now they've also gotten angry. Maybe they were angry to start with, and I've also responded in an angry way, either or. The point is, now we are both angry and we are arguing with each other and we are furious and we are probably saying harmful words. We are probably agitating other people around us. We've probably just messed up the person's entire day or week. So that has just created a very harmful and non-beneficial result of my action, because I didn't have any intention to do something good. I just reacted, and this is what happened. This also creates these negative karmic seeds for future lifetime, for even in this lifetime. If I'm not conscious of my actions, if I'm doing things out of reactions and out of, emotions, then I'm also allowing that person, I am inciting that person to also create negative karma for themselves, not just for me. I'm creating negative karma for myself, and I'm also enabling that other person to create more negative karma for themselves, just because I haven't been mindful enough or intentional enough with my action. So now I've just caused us both suffering. Yeah. And we do this all the time in our daily lives, either in our emotional reactions or in decisions that we make that, may be causing other people harm on purpose. Now, this is not to say that, there are certain situations where, for example, there are many complicated situations with parents or with children, with partners that, say you feel like you need to get a divorce from your partner, and it's taboo, it's not okay, but it's just come to that point, and they're going to be in such distress. If that happens, your whole family might be in distress. Another example, family, parents, this happens all the time. Parents who want their child to be one way and they follow a different path, and and you as a child feel like, you're causing your family distress. So this is not, this is different from what I'm talking about before. Because if you, as let's say you're in any of these situations, you can think of your own situations like this, these complicated situations. Let's say you've taken a decision that is making some other people around you unhappy, but you know that you need to do this. That is also okay. You are not causing that person harm on purpose. That's one thing. And a second thing is that maybe even by doing this, that maybe, let's say it's a parent, for example, maybe in the future it will open their minds a little bit to see that, okay, maybe let's say that child was a lawyer and now wants to switch to become like a dancer or a filmmaker. Maybe the parent had no concept of these careers before, but now maybe in 10 years they'll be way more open-minded. So you've actually, in the long run, you've benefited them. But the main point here is when you take that decision, let's say like, you're in a bad home situation, you need to leave your house. Let's say you walk out of that door, the intention is and this is what this whole thing is about, the motivation, the intention is what dictates, is that beneficial or is this harmful? Am I causing harm or am I not? If I walk out that door in spite and anger, you guys have been horrible to me and I hate you and I'm never going to see you again, then it's probably not the best way to leave. It's probably not the best way to go about it. It's not just causing harm to others, you're causing harm to yourself, to your own mind. You're causing yourself suffering with these negative attitudes. Let's say I walk out of that door wishing them well, wishing them, okay, all of this has happened. I can't live here anymore. I'm sorry. And you wish that may you also, not necessarily verbally, just in your mind, may you be free of your suffering also one day. That has caused you, obviously they are in suffering also. If they are causing somebody else harm, if a partner is causing the other partner harm, that means they're also in suffering. So you wish them well. I do have to leave, but I wish you well. And I'm going with the intention that one day you also be free of suffering. That has completely transformed the situation and the karma that you are creating, the seeds that you are planting. It all comes down to intention. Karma itself, one of the 4 pillars of karma that makes karmic action ripen, is intention, is motivation. If there's a story of a famous story that many of you have probably heard of, the Buddha in a boat, and there are like maybe 10 people in the boat, and the Buddha gets to know that one of the people in the boat is a murderer and has the intention to murder everybody on the boat. And so what does the Buddha do? He kills the murderer. Because he can see that if the murderer kills everybody on the boat, he's going to cause lifetimes of suffering for himself and for everybody else. So he kills the murderer too, because the Buddha has that wisdom and that insight to see that this is the result of this action. This is the negative result of this action, and I am out of compassion sparing him of having to go to a hell realm after this life. Now, of course, we are not Buddhas and Bodhisattvas yet. Yet. We're not. So we don't have, we can't expect ourselves to spontaneously know in a situation what can be, the most beneficial. And, they say the teachers tell this story, and then they immediately after say, don't go and, if you run into a serial killer one day, don't kill him, because we don't have that right view to, do it out of 100% compassion. There will be a little bit anger mixed in, a little bit of aversion. So they say, don't do that unless you're a Buddha. But if we have the intention to do this, although we are not Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and if there's a difficult situation, in that situation that I've been talking about, like, a child leaving home, or, abusive relationship or something, a Buddha or Bodhisattva may stay in that situation. They may have the deep compassion to stay in that situation without being, affected in the least bit, without it, bothering them at all, just compassionately, and stay with that person or that situation. Maybe the better thing is to leave. Sometimes, and especially in an abusive situation, it is better to leave, because if you stay, you are just causing both people more and more pain. It just keeps spiraling. There may not be actually a benefit to staying. So a bodhisattva would be able to see that and decide. Because we are not that, we decide, I need to leave. And that's just what we need to do. That's what we have to do. And in that moment, it boils down to intention. With what intention do we make every decision of our lives? Do we take every step? Do we, say every word that comes out of our mouth? What is the intention behind it? So, I talked about 3 different kinds of intention. But I want to, because we are in the Mahayana tradition, and in the Mahayana tradition we see, the ultimate intention to be for the benefit of all beings, not just oneself. So I want to read a little excerpt from the Bodhicharya Vatra that we've been reading in this in these classes so far with Kabirji. And we've already gone through this chapter with Kabirji. I think pre-monsoon we did. Well, this is chapter 3, which is taking hold of Bodhichitta, and he is generating a motivation for why am I practicing? And he says it very, very beautifully. So I want to read a few paragraphs of it. He says, "For all those ailing in the world, until their every sickness has been healed, may I myself become for them the doctor, nurse, the medicine itself. Raining down a flood of food and drink, may I dispel the ills of thirst and famine. And in the eons marked by scarcity and want, may I myself appear as drink and sustenance." And you can maybe even like close your eyes and just allow yourself to meditate on these verses as I read. "For sentient beings poor and destitute, may I become a treasure ever plentiful and lie before them closely in their reach, a varied source of all that they might need. My body, thus, and all my goods besides, and all the my merits gained and to be gained, I give them all and do not count the cost to bring about the benefit of beings. Nirvana is attained by giving all. Nirvana is the object of my striving, and all must be surrendered in a single instant. Therefore, it is best to give all to others." Yeah. So here he's generating the most ultimate wish is, to be able to arise spontaneously for whatever beings need, whether they need clothes, food. Later he talks about ill will. And when we have this motivation, that this motivation is obviously it's very it's way down in the future. We are not expecting ourselves in this lifetime to become the doctor, the nurse, and the medicine itself for people. So these uh, things are what is called an aspiration, which is also part of what we're talking about, intention, motivation. This is a third aspect, which is called aspiration. So we aspire to one day, that in each day that I sit and practice or that I contemplate these things, one day may I be as compassionate and selfless to, be able to just lay my body before a hungry tiger and allow her to eat my body, which is one of the Buddha's past lives in a story. So yeah, this is having this aspiration is like planting the seeds in our mind to, if we're sitting here and we come and meditate, let's say for 20 minutes in the day, 10 minutes in the day, if we just start with this motivation or with this just like one thought, just reading one paragraph or just having them just one thought, yeah, I'm here to, you know, benefit all beings. Just imagining the Buddha and his compassion and wishing that Rintara, even the female form of compassion, Avalokiteshvara with his, 100 arms over there, ready to just reach out for help at any. If you just have that image in your mind, not today, not tomorrow, not in this lifetime, but just that image, it is already planting the seeds for future lifetimes to keep moving to the path. It is buying that flight ticket. Maybe you haven't gotten on the flight to New York, you're not, it's maybe 2 years away, but you bought the flight ticket. So that's very, very important. This is the first step. It's just the first step, to take. It's very important to have a intention and motivation. Again, not just in meditation practice, just waking up in the day and, try it. Like if you wake up in the morning and maybe you have something written next to you, or you have like, there's the beautiful 8 verses of mind training the mind. It's very short, it's just 8 verses. There's a version in Hindi also, and just reading that, to shift your mind in that direction. Why am I here? Why am I waking up in the day? What do I want my day to look like? What do I want every interaction of mine to look like? Even if it's not it, even if that doesn't happen at all, even if you get into an argument with your coworker and you go home and you are arguing with your parents and you are arguing with your kids, even if none of that happens, just by nature of starting your day with that intention, with that motivation, you're turning your mind, you're training your mind, you're planting seeds for maybe future in this life or future lifetimes. So yeah, I want to just open, obviously I think a lot of people on the Zoom also, Pradeep Ji and others, are far more versed in these things and experts than I am, have far more knowledge. So if anybody wants to add or share or ask questions, like we can make this a open discussion. It's an open discussion to, explore different ideas. Yeah.
I become moved with compassion. That's not intentionally, but I become moved with compassion. I'm just seeing someone is doing wrong. At the time, I was like, become moved to him and or to her, and he's like, no, you are not the path. You are just see yourself. You are rude. You are angry. Where is your compassion? So I was like blank. But so I think rudeness is not a negative thing if intention is pure.
Right.
I think.
Right.
Yeah. Your intention is pure to save anyone. So I think because it's a human tendency, every time we cannot use same words. Right?
Yeah.
So with me, this is the thing because sometimes it's like I'm just blast. No, you are wrong here.
Right.
So I'm just practicing like that. How I become calm and that because nobody is like on the same page. Is this like what I'm taking from another person is taking the same way?
Yeah.
So I think compassion is not necessary to every time smiling in the face. Actually, compassion you can do. You can even say something like that for someone's highest good.
Right. Right. So the question was, or the observation was that compassion does not always work in the way that we expect it to, because and correct me if anything is wrong, because sometimes we think we are being compassionate and the person takes it completely differently, or it may just not have the result that we expected. And again, Pradeep ji or anyone, please do share your wisdom on this also. I'll start a response by saying that again, because we are not Buddhas and Bodhisattvas right now, our compassion is not necessarily 100% pure compassion. It may be mixed with a little bit of attachment if we really care about that person, and we think we are being really compassionate, but there's also a little attachment mixed in, because it's like I want you to be free of suffering because I care about you so much. But that's not necessarily ultimate compassion. That's a little bit attachment mixed in. Or if it's somebody who's an enemy per se, or somebody who bugs us, then there could be some aversion mixed in, or some anger, or some jealousy, frustration. There could be many things mixed in with that can affect it. And so when we are compassionate, we shouldn't expect that it will, that compassion, that okay, I think I'm being compassionate, so why is the other person not hearing me or responding in the way I'm expecting. Compassion is simply to be able to see and hold another person's suffering. To be able to see that, okay, that person, whether they are screaming at me, whether they are, robbing a store, whether they are, just being moody or whatever, they are suffering. And what can I, if anything at all, maybe nothing, what can I say or do to, you know, to speak to this person? And if you say something and it doesn't have to be, forced or getting angry. It doesn't mean getting angry either. Sometimes it does. Sometimes there is something called wrathful compassion. And I'm not sure where it is, but there's wrathful compassion also, and there's a figure for wrathful compassion. And that's the compassion of like a mother when her child like runs out onto the street and she starts yelling at the child, because you say you can't do that. That's not okay. You're going to get hurt. That is coming from wrath, from an intensity that is a scolding, you know? So we see compassion as this like loving thing. It's not necessarily. There is a different form of compassion also that's wrathful, and that some people need to, to be a little bit strict with. You have to be a little bit strict sometimes. You can't let people just walk all over you and just keep smiling, like you're saying. Just keep smiling. Uh, yeah. So that's like my limited answer. Yeah, if anybody else wants to share anything, please share. Um, yeah, and I would say if something's not working, either try something else or just step away. If it feels frustrating to why isn't this person listening to me, then they're not ready to listen either. So just step away. Maybe meditate a little bit, and maybe you'll come up with another solution, another approach. Yeah. Anything else related to setting up intentions or motivations in our day? Does anybody have something that works for them already? Really good practice. Like there's another one I wanted to mention, the King of Prayers. Similar to the 8 verses of training the mind, there's another text called the King of Prayers, praise to Samantabhadra. And that is also really, really powerful text that I think people usually read before going to bed. But you can also read it first thing in the morning, and it just completely turns your mind around. It starts with a 7 prayer with prostration, confession, making offerings, all of that. And it's just a text of pure bodhisattva and compassion, seeing all the good deeds of Buddhas everywhere, and that Buddhas are on every atom of 10,000 universes, and, wishing them to stay and wishing to become one of them. So yeah, that's another really beautiful text if you're looking for, you know, things to help you start your day with that positive mind. Yeah. Anything else? Yeah, compassion is I'm talking on and on like Guruji now. Guruji's like told me before the session today, he's like, don't talk on and on like I do. Compassion is seen as like one of the best motivations. Also, a very good thing to include in your motivation is generating compassion within oneself. Um, as one of the pillars, the 4 immeasurables, it's a very strong pillar to uh, fuel ourselves, to propel ourselves to benefit other beings because we see their compassion. So yeah, compassion is also really powerful intention, to, let's say you're like walking down the street and you are generating compassion in yourself, not generating because it's already in ourselves, but you're allowing compassion to come up, and maybe you will, be walking down the street and you'll smile to the guard for the first time, or you'll thank the guard for all the work he does, or you'll see the sweeper and you'll thank him. And you'll thank the auto wala. So that can be a really powerful, fuel. Pradeep ji, any wisdom to share? Not to put you on the spot, but if you are there.
Sometimes we compassion, kindness, sometimes we do
Hmm.
compassion. Kindness towards everyone is looks like a compassion.
Yeah, there is a slight difference. So those are actually to love and kindness is one of the four measurables, and compassion is another one. So they are closely linked, but love and kindness, loving kindness, is wishing others well in any like most basic sense, even just like wishing, oh, I hope you have warm clothes for the winter, wishing that people are live in comfortable location on a bed, on a mattress, that people have enough food to eat, that they have whatever in life that they want, whether it's whether somebody really wants a car. I wish you could you get a car one day, anything in that sense. Wishing others well, loving kindness. Compassion is more on the front of suffering, seeing people suffering, especially mental suffering and emotional suffering, seeing that, I wish you to be free of the pain you are in. Let's say somebody's in physical pain. I wish you can be free of that pain. If somebody is, experiencing a lot of jealousy towards somebody else, like I wish you could be free of that pain. That's more compassion. It's the wish for some others to be free, and for oneself also. All of these, most importantly, is to be able to do it to oneself. Um, yeah, of course. Yeah, we don't do it enough to ourselves. Some people do it too much to themselves, too much self-centeredness. Yeah, so then you want to shift it towards other people. But if you have the opposite problem where you don't do it enough to yourself, then you must start with yourself in these practices. Because we're also just another sentient being who's in samsara and suffering. Yeah, I hope that clears up the difference a little bit. We just had Venerable Sangye Kadro. Her Western name is Kathleen McDonald. She wrote a couple of really well-known books. She gave a teaching for us last Friday, so I can send you the recording if you're interested. She goes through each of the four measurables really, really well, and it's really helpful to clear up some doubts about it. Yeah, I'll send you that.
We are interconnected actually. We live with it. Because
Right.
in family, just example. I'm not, so in love, if he is doing something wrong which can hurt him, yes, I love him, that's why I'm just with this person. And there is a compassion also.
Yeah.
Because if he will do that, most probably he will get hurt.
Right.
So love and compassion in a family, I'm saying like it's very, very difficult to say no.
Yeah.
I'm just by compassion I'm saying this. No, by love I'm saying this.
Yeah, they are very linked, of course. I mean, compassion comes out of an ultimate level, so loving kindness also comes out of an ultimate love. It's just two different ways of two different like qualities in ourselves that when we see a situation like let's say somebody just really wants to get married and have a family, but they haven't found the right person or something. I really wish that wishing, it's a wishing somebody well, that I wish you could have what you want, have that mental peace, because without those first comforts, without clothes and food and you know a bed to sleep on, like we can't even begin our spiritual journey. So yeah, this wishing was to at least may you have these basic comforts and whatever you want in life, whatever you need, even if it's material things, even if it's mundane things, just seeing somebody else's desire and wishing them well. Yeah, compassion is more when you see somebody who's really going through a tough time, and you wish them, like, it's like a spontaneous, it's like what these verses are, it's all compassion. It's like, may I be a guard for those who are protectorless, a guide for those who journey on the road. For those who wish to cross the water, may I be a boat, a raft, a bridge. That's like pure compassion. Like, somebody who needs help, may I give it to them. Or if we can't, then may it come to you some way. Yeah. Yeah, again, Venerable Sangye Khandro says it, describes it really well. So I'll send you that recording. Yeah, this Bodhichitta is what, the teachers in this tradition, our spiritual directors and all, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, Lama Yeshe, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, they always keep going back to Bodhichitta, generating Bodhichitta as, your motivation, as your intention behind everything. And Kunu Rinpoche, another very, very well-known yogi, Tibetan yogi. He was never a monk, he's a layperson, but everyone recognizes him as a true Bodhisattva. He has a text, the verses of praise, in Bodhisattva, verses in praise of Bodhisattvas, something like that. And he says in there, when you are eating, do it with Bodhichitta. When you are sleeping, do it with Bodhichitta. When you are walking, do it with Bodhichitta. All these mundane activities, like, can I look in my bowl of food and instead of doing it like eating mindlessly, then there's no intention there. Maybe the intention is just to fill my stomach, which is okay. But, if I have a bowl of food in front of me and I imagine all the people who have worked to get this bowl of food here, the bowl itself, the groceries, the guy at the grocery store, the person who cooked it, the utensils we cooked it in, the people who farmed it, of course. If I think about all those people, it just opens up, my mind and my heart to want to benefit these people, to want to thank people for their kindness, and that just transforms your entire meal. So yeah, imagine if we do this. Of course, it's impossible. I mean, in retreat, we can really cultivate these things because we don't have anything else going on. We're not in a rush. In retreat is when we can really, work on these things and practice these things. But yeah, just like once in a day, if you can remember, or you have something to remind you to, okay, like, let me step back from what I'm doing and take a moment to be grateful for, the things around me, or for being on the spiritual path, or let me take a moment to just generate some bodhicitta within me to continue the rest of my day. Generate the intention, okay, when I leave the house today, I'm going to smile at the guard today. Just that. Even if you don't, even if you walk out the door and you completely forget and you're, in the metro and you're like, oh, I forgot to smile at the guard. It's okay because you have created the intention. That's already, you've planted the seed to do it next time, maybe, or next to next time. Yeah, do people have anything else to share or say? Might as well end with a short dedication, which is also a very good counterpart of two sides of the coin of motivation. Starting with motivation, and we sort of close it off with a dedication, which is, to multiply the merits. Okay, we have motivated and we've cultivated some merits, and now can we, spread it, spread it around. So we dedicate our time here today to our own well-being and our own practice. Maybe continue, taking those steps, even if we are just, there's no train, there's no bus, we're just walking all the way to Bodh Gaya. Just putting one foot in front of the other. And we have the intention to go, so we'll keep moving in that direction, no matter what we do. And may others also be benefited from our practice and from our contemplations. We dedicate to their well-being, those around us, strangers, even extending it to future lives, people we encounter in future lives, all beings whom, bring us food on our table and allow us to sit here in this gompa or join on Zoom. Imagine even Zoom wouldn't be possible if a pandemic didn't happen. How crazy is that? Just dedicating to everything, everyone. It's like His Holiness the Dalai Lama says, dedication merit is like a candle, and one candle can light 100 other candles and not lose a single breath. So just by dedicating, by spreading this merit and these contemplations, and as always, we dedicate to our teachers who guide us on this path, Kabirji, our spiritual director, Yashidorji Damdullah, Chitsunma Tenzin Pamo, anybody, whoever is a teacher who has impacted your life, you can dedicate to them and their long life. Lama Zopa Rinpoche, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and may all their holy wishes of freeing beings from samsara be fulfilled. Ending with the sincere wish that all beings, including ourselves, be free of suffering and samsara. You. you all. Thank you, Pradeepji, for joining. I was wondering if you had any, of your own wisdom to share. We would love to hear it. Oh, can you not unmute? Sorry. Yeah, now you can unmute.
No, thank you so much. It
Yeah,
was very good. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Okay, you'll have Kabirji back again tomorrow, I promise. I'll be
Well,
guiding the meditations, but Kabirji will be taking the sessions. So
thank you.
see you tomorrow.